Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Midtown USA. This is episode number 27 of this wonderful series, and thank you for tuning in for yet another episode here down on this wonderful map. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to stop by and enjoy the virtual farming here that's being done. Let's bring your attention up to the upper right hand corner now. A couple of things I will point out. First of all, you'll see our money situation, roughly $351,000. That is what we managed to essentially clear after we sold our compost that basically we worked on with using Farmer Klein's compost facility down there. We got all that cleaned out, and got it all basically restored back to the state that it was when we basically stepped in there, which obviously is always the right thing to do. The next thing I'm going to bring your attention to is our weather situation. So we're in fall. We're 6th game day of mid-autumn of fall, and so we have a sunny day today mostly. Well, it's looking like it's kind of cloudy there with the icon, but I think we have pretty much clear skies for now. We do have a sunny day tomorrow, and then we have rain come in. So basically our goal, our mission, and we have to accept it if we want to be successful with this thing, is to get all of our soybeans brought in before the end of day on Thursday, or at least before the rain starts on what is represented there on Friday. So can we do it? I guess that is of course yet to be seen, and we will just have to kind of see. Now we have a little bit of a operation going here. I don't want to do that, do I? I'm going to give myself an extra little bit of room down here between the mother bin and the big bud. Now I wasn't going to use the mother bin on this map just simply because I don't like to overuse things, but since it's kind of new, and since it's going to be a few more episodes I think before we probably get to the harvest on Tazewell, which is kind of where the mother bin is going to come into play, and since also we kind of have a problem with this map, especially that field over there, the big one, 17, with getting our semi to stay put and everything, I sort of, for sake of time and just for sake of my own frustration, I sort of decided to go ahead and bring the mother bin concept into this map. Don't worry, it's not going to become a staple on all of my maps, I don't think. It is kind of a cool concept. It's something that I had never really thought of doing for the types of maps that I play, even the large ones like this. I never honestly really thought of it. I'd seen the mother bins before on YouTube videos, primarily farming that's being done down in Australia, but honestly had never really thought about that. I had never really thought about doing that in here on a map like this. I've always just used the concept that I attempted to use, but obviously ran into some problems with the semi. So I kind of have, well, I suppose I have two procedures, I suppose, when it comes to harvesting, or two processes that I kind of have when it comes to harvesting using courseplay and using extra equipment and everything. Smaller maps like Thornton Farm, I often tend to kind of do that manually, kind of run the combine, run the tractor tipper. Usually it's a tipper, because most of the time, especially with crops like soybeans, sunflower, canola, unless the field is massive in size, you're going to be hard pressed to fill a 50,000 liter tipper more than probably once, if even that. Obviously wheat and barley is a little bit different scenario, but anyway, I digress with that. But usually if I'm going to use courseplay, I'm essentially going to set up scenario one is setting up a tractor and tipper, and that tractor and tipper is essentially running from the side of the field to the combine, emptying the combine. Once that tractor and tipper is full, then that tractor and tipper then goes and empties, at at the farm silo. And so that is obviously kind of that would work for, say, a field like this size, especially the proximity to the main farm. That's not a long haul at all. But on this map, let's say, for example, on this map, I'll bring up the larger map. Let's say that we're up in field number 9, for example, harvesting, and we wanted to bring the crops to our main farm, not basically maybe sell them at the warehouse or something like that. Then obviously that tractor tipper has quite a drive to make from the field way up there in the northeast corner all the way down to the main farm. Now, of course, you can, and I've often done this before, have 2 tractors and 2 tippers running, and that way, when one's out on the field emptying the combine and tending to the combine and everything, the other one, if he's full, he can make his trip to the main farm, dump, and then obviously get back. A little going sideways here. Obviously, get back before the combine needs to be, or before the second tractor tipper would leave to go empty. So there's always, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's always a tractor tipper on the field in that sort of scenario. And then, of course, plan B is, of course, kind of what I was doing when we harvested the wheat off this field, having a combine, a tractor pulling an auger wagon, which is kind of what we have, and then a semi that's waiting at the edge of the field to be emptied into, and then the semi, when the semi is full, then basically the semi then goes and takes the material, the grain or the wheat or the soybeans or whatever the case is. That driver takes that to either to the main farm and dumps it in the silo, or takes it to a sell point or whatever. So those are kind of the options that you have. And if you are interested, if you're sort of new to, if you're new to Farm Sim 17, or if you're certainly new to Courseplay, then I invite you to have a watch, take a look at the Courseplay tutorials that I have done, that I put out on the channel. And because I go over those scenarios, I go over many of those scenarios on how to set those courses up. So essentially, I cover this exact scenario where you're emptying into an auger wagon, and so you need the course set for the tractor auger to then go to the mother bin. So essentially, in the context that we're doing here with this video, today's video, episode number 27, the mother bin essentially is just serving as a stationary holding point, if you will. We're not having the mother bin move. The big bud is not pulling the mother bin anywhere. He's going to just essentially sit there and keep the mother bin from rolling away, I suppose. Anyway, that is that. So if you have questions on really any of these processes with Courseplay or whatever, I do encourage you to come over and join my Discord server, my Discord channel, and say hi, and you can ask your questions over there. And you can either ask them publicly in the open chat channel, the open text channel, which is the area where I monitor most of the time. And when I'm not traveling, if I'm basically at home in Denver at my office in Denver, I usually have Discord open pretty much all day, and I am monitoring the chat on my not only on my channel, but I'm jumping over and saying hi to folks in Eustace Pharmer's channel and Doug Dorley's channel, etc. And so you can either ask it publicly, and either I will answer if I see your question, or maybe one of our other viewers of the channel is often there. There's quite a few of them that have been sort of long-time viewers that chime in and will help out, that are well versed in things such as Courseplay and AI Combine and those kind of things. So if you have questions, that's where you can certainly go to help you get those answers. And then, of course, there is one other resource that I just want to bring to everyone's attention, and that is also the Discord channel for the Simulation Gaming Society, which is a brand new group that myself, along with Eustace Pharmer and Doug Zorley, founded. And it's a very simple, all we have is a Discord server set up that you can join. You'll find the link down below the notes, down below the video screen of my video, as well as any video that Eustace Pharmer or Doug Zorley puts out as well. You'll find a link to that channel. And it's just a very basic Discord server. You can come over and interact with us, either myself or Eustace Pharmer or Doug Zorley. Sorry about that. And we'd love to have you. And there's basically right now we just have a chat section set up for text general, and then we have a voice audio channel which when I'm at work during the Monday through Friday work week, I don't really have the capabilities of sitting there and monitoring the voice. So usually text chat is going to be the best solution to communicate with me on, and that's regardless of what server it is, if it's the Simulation Gaming Society or my very own Grizzly Bear Sims Discord server. So anyway, I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Let's see, you guys are watching, and gals are going to be watching this video on the 16th of April, and I'm recording this video on the 31st of March. So this is Easter weekend. It's Saturday morning. The house is awfully quiet. The wife has not got up yet. She is having a bit of a lie-in, which is nice. She certainly deserves it. I'm just such a, I don't know. I have been getting up quite early, and you know, when I was a kid, oh my gosh, I mean, when I was a kid, I absolutely hated getting up early. And I'm just gonna show of hands, so when I say that, I mean, you know, respond in the chat down below the video if you don't mind. I'm just kind of curious as to you know, what it was like for you. Have you, you know, if you're an early riser, have you always been an early riser, or is it something that has kind of or is it something that you know, has kind of developed with you? And what I mean by that is, when I was a kid, when I was a young person, and even a teenager, teenage boy, my gosh, I hated getting up early. I really absolutely did. And I would often, when I was a younger boy, you know, like in elementary school, my mom would wake me up, and she'd get me up maybe an hour or so before I was supposed to leave for school. And we only lived about a block and a half away from school, so I walked on good weather days. You know, got to get that exercise and everything in. So I would walk to school on good weather days, and you know, it was uphill both directions, and then the snow and all that kind of stuff. And that's a joke, of course. But anyway, she would get me up about an hour before I was supposed to leave for school. And I would usually come in, and she would, if she was telling this story, she would say I would come in and whine on the couch for 30 to 45 minutes. I don't remember that so much, but if that's what she says I did, then, you know, who am I to argue? She's my mom, and she would know what is right and what is not. But anyway, so she says I come in and whine on the couch for 30 minutes or so. I remember, you know, and during this time, and keep in mind, folks, I grew up in the you know, kind of come to age in the 70s and early 80s, teenager in the 80s, early 80s, that is. So grade school in the, you know, in the mid to late 70s. And so one of my favorite things to do in the mornings was watch the Three Stooges, you know, the old black and white with Larry, Moe, and Curly, and Shemp alternating back and forth sometimes. And so that was one of my favorite things to do, and I would sort of lay on the, I guess it's actually true, I would lay on the sofa and watch the Three Stooges, and absolutely. Eventually, I think they would wake me up. Their comedy, their humor, would get me, sort of woke up, and I would go. Well, anyway, what sort of brought this me telling this story, or starting to tell this story, was the simple fact that my father would also often tell me. He would often say, "Well, son, one of these days you'll get used to getting up early. It'll just be something that you are used to doing, and it won't be difficult, and it'll just be something that will come natural to you." Well, that took a very long time before that sort of concept came to fruition for me. There we go. And so, and I would say it took, it was probably many decades before that got to a point where I found it easy to get up in the mornings, because of course I went through that sort of that period of your life when you're maybe a college student, or maybe slightly out of college, and especially I had jobs where I would start to work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when I worked in food service and things like that. And of course, going to work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon usually meant that you worked until 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, something like that. So you try to come home and go to bed at 10 o'clock at night after you've worked 8 hours. You can't do it. Just like you really and truthfully, you can't come home from working in your 9 to 5 job and necessarily go to bed at 6 o'clock in the evening. Well, sometimes I probably could, because I'm just that tired and exhausted. But anyway, I think you get what I mean. So anyway, it was quite a while before I honestly could say that was a concept that I understood and that it had happened, that I have reached a point to where that my body clock, or whatever the scenario is that sort of drives this whole thing, shifts, and you become sort of an early bird. And dare I say, and this is the sheer difference between myself and my wife, as an example, is I love the peace and tranquility and the solitude and just the quietness of the house early in the morning, whether it's Monday through Friday and I'm getting, and I'm obviously going to be going to work. If you watch my, if you're paying attention to Discord, for example, and if you're in a time zone that's ahead of me, so like you're on the East Coast and you're up to 2 hours ahead of me, or you're in Europe, or you're on the other side of the world in Australia, you'll often see me pop on Discord, around 5:30 in the morning. I'm still at home typically at that time. I've been up, I've had my shower, I've gotten dressed, I am enjoying the peace and tranquility of the morning as the world is waking up, or at least my world is waking up. Usually drinking a cup of coffee. That is one of my vices that I just honestly cannot do without. There was a study that just came out. The state of California, I think, is pushing coffee manufacturers to put on the labels that coffee is known to the state of California to cause cancer. Well, coffee is just something I've got to have. If I don't have it, then I can't function. But anyway, the peace and tranquility, the solitude of the house in the early morning hours like that is just something that I just absolutely adore. It's not that I dread when my wife wakes up, and usually if it's on the weekends, usually she gets up after I leave, and during the work week, Monday through Friday, I usually leave for the office around 6 o'clock. So I will get up, enjoy my coffee, check Discord. Usually I sign off of Discord, and I'm only signed off for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, because that's all it takes me to get to my office and get up to the 4th floor to my office and get my laptop connected and booted up and everything, and I'm back online again. My wife, she sleeps until probably about 45 minutes or so until it's time for her to get up and start work and everything. And she takes her shower, and of course she works from home, so she has the luxury of doing that. Oh, the coffee is good this morning. It's nice and strong. And but anyway, yeah, I guess maybe when I moved to Colorado, so that would have been about 20 years ago. So I'm 52 going on 53. No, I'm 51 going on 52. Sorry, I'm aging myself there. So 51 going on 52. So I guess if I do the math tells me that I would have been about 32 years old when I moved to Colorado. And so now I'm coming up on 52 this fall. And so I guess it was about that time. I guess, really started enjoying, and I've always enjoyed getting to work early in the mornings. I usually get in probably an hour before some of the rest of my team gets in and before some of the other people that I interact get in. And I just enjoy that time. I usually come in, I make coffee, get the coffee pots going, and just kind of enjoy that peace and tranquility, because I enjoy it at the house. And then I also like to come into the office before a lot of people get there, so that I have, try to have at least 45 minutes to an hour to where it's just kind of myself in the office, and I can ease into things a little easier before I actually have to, go into like ready, set, action kind of things. But anyway, so I'm just curious with you. I mean, was that something that did you find getting up early always came easy, or were you kind of like me where you hated it for a period of your life and then you actually enjoy it? So, there are times that I say to myself, I'll go to bed well, Friday nights are difficult for me to stay awake, because I've typically gotten up Friday morning at 4:45 or 5, something like that. My alarm is set for 5, and so often I will get up a little bit early if I wake up early. But so on Fridays, unless I'm working, and usually a lot of Friday nights I have to work until 8, 9, 10, maybe sometimes midnight, and even beyond. I've pulled a few all-nighters before, because in the IT world, Friday evenings and the weekends are when we can do things, when we can take systems offline, or at least some of the systems offline, and we can basically do work on them when users are not using the systems and everything. And so, but it's hard for me to stay awake on Friday, because literally, if I've gotten up at 4:45 that morning, and especially if I'm exercising, I might even get up at 4:30 and do that. So on Saturdays, I will often think to myself, okay, well, Friday night before I go to bed, I'll think to myself, okay, I hope I can sleep late tomorrow. But like this morning, as an example, this is the last day of March. I almost said the last game day of March. Funny. But anyway, the last day of March, Saturday, I still only managed to sleep until 6 o'clock. So yeah, that's kind of sleeping late, considering that I went to bed about 10:30 last night, and I managed to sleep until 6. So that is about an hour and a half, possibly longer than what I slept the day before. But so tonight, as an example, I will often think to myself, okay, well, Saturday night I'm gonna maybe try to stay up a little bit later, because after all, my wife will say, well, what time did you get up? And I say, well, I got up at 6 o'clock. And she'll say, well, you slept till you got an extra hour and a half of sleep or whatever. So she thinks that I can just stay up until whenever. But anyway, I'll think to myself, okay, I'm gonna try to sleep late tomorrow morning. So this would be, in my example, this would be Easter Sunday. I'll try to sleep late. It never fails, quite honestly. I will get up I'll wake up at my usual time. That's something that I almost always do, is I almost always wake up at my usual time when I typically am. I'm just keeping an eye to make sure that we don't have a crash over there. I will almost always wake up at regular time, and but I can go back to sleep. Typically, sometimes I can't. Sometimes I can go back to sleep, and it looks like the New Holland is having a struggle over there. Hold just 1 second. All right, we got that sorted out. I guess because of the traffic jam situation, the New Holland forgot what he was supposed to do, and anyway, that's sorted out. As I've often said, folks, Courseplay is a fantastic tool. It's a fantastic mod. It's one of my favorite mods. It's possibly one of the mods that I depend on the most as far as creating the stories and everything that I do, because I need that assistance. I need Courseplay to do things for me while I'm doing other things, or trying to simulate something like this where we've got a couple of different hired workers. For the most part, I would say my experience, my opinion, Courseplay works anywhere between 80 to 85 to 90% of the time, but there is that 10, 15, 20%, and sometimes it's more frustrating than other times, and a lot of it has to do with how you set things up and all this kind of stuff and everything. And so anyway, that is just that little story. But anyway, let's see. Anyway, I'm kind of curious. So if you would care to tell your story, or let me know if I'm not the only one that struggled with getting up early and everything. Let me know. I'd be interested to hear your take on it and hear how things have progressed for you and whatnot. And maybe at some point when I retire and I no longer because that's the thing. If I'm on vacation, so if I have like 1 day off, if it's like a 3-day weekend, it doesn't change my sleep pattern too much because it's not enough time. But like, for example, over the last part of the year, over the holidays, between Christmas and New Year, we're typically off because we essentially shut down most of our non-critical operations, and I'll have staff that will work, but for example, I don't work. I take that time off, and so because I usually will be off from work for about 10 days or so, 10 to 12 days total. I can get to a point where that I have completely almost shifted my sleep patterns, where I'm staying up later at night and I'm sleeping later in the mornings. But maybe when I retire, maybe when the wife and I retire and we no longer have commitments that we need to get up for and whatever, maybe I can shift my my patterns, my sleep patterns or whatever, and I can stay up later and sleep later and all of that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I gotta say, my dad was right. It did get easier. It took a little while, but it happened. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are roughly, 28 and a half, 29 minutes or something like that. Some of this video will fall on the cutting room floor, the time that it took me to fix the New Holland tractor and everything. What I'm going to do is, off camera, I'm going to finish the harvest of this field, which is almost done, and then the other field over there, field number 17, I think it is. So we'll get that done off camera. The mother bin is almost full, so that's interesting that we've managed to get that much soybeans off these two fields. And then I think I will bring us back together for what will be episode number 28, because you'll have 2 episodes of MidtownUSA this week that you're watching this video. So that will be on Friday for episode 28, and I think I will bring us back together and we'll do another harvest episode of Midtown USA number 28 over on our field number 15 over there. We'll do that, and then we're probably only going to have another episode or two of this wonderful series, because at that point all of our harvesting will be done. So we'll do some selling, and just basically I think we're going to sell the farm, and may sell some of the equipment with the farm, may sell some of it outright. So we'll kind of do not a full sell-off. I'm not really, I don't really do it as far as trying to find out, really how much money we've made and all that kind of stuff. I suppose that with some maps I play, I typically leave it on. I almost never delete a game save, although I'm going to have to here pretty soon because I am running out of slots. But like I always sort of think that, well, I don't want to delete my law folds, because what if I want to come back in and play that map? So I don't know. I might keep this one. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the end is near for Midtown USA. I think we're, after we get the harvest done, which obviously again that's episode number 28 that you'll watch on Friday. Once that's done, I think there'll be maybe 1 or 2 more episodes, and then we'll call this series a wrap. I am working on the next new map that's going to that we're going to play, and I don't know if I'm going to start that map before we get Tazewell done, or if I might start it very slowly before Tazewell is finished. But eventually, I think that once Tazewell is done, I think you'll just probably see for just a little bit of time, I want to try just one map, one Farm Sim 17 map on the channel, because I think that one of my struggles is going back and forth is often, I'm getting older, folks. Let's face it, our minds don't work as they might have once done, and so I do sort of forget what needs to be done and what I did before and all that kind of stuff, especially if I'm in a scenario like I am now, where I'm sort of about 2 weeks ahead of things. I often forget. So I think that just doing maybe one map for right now, and then just kind of maybe doing a little bit more of the map on video, instead of doing so much stuff off camera, where I really take more of a slower approach to playing the map. I don't know, and then maybe try to do 2 or 3 episodes a week of just a single map. We'll see how it all unfolds once we get to that point. But I have started setting the new map up, getting it the way that I like it, getting all of the equipment that I want to use, and the kind of the way that I play things. And it's not going to be a career mode kind of thing. We're going to come in, so there's going to be equipment, there's going to be plenty of fields to keep us busy, and I'll reveal more a little bit later as far as which map it is and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start closing things out here now, because I'm done with this field, and what I'm going to do is off camera I'm going to go over and help the other team out over there on 17, get that done, and then like I said, we will essentially, as soon as I get my combine here in the right direction, we will essentially be back together for episode number 28, where we'll harvest the other field over there and get that done, and then like I said, we'll be putting a wrap on this series pretty soon. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, please remember, take good care of yourselves and also of each other, and do come back and see us here on the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. I hope you will, and go over and check out some of my other friends and stuff that do this sort of thing, put out content and everything on YouTube. They're all putting out family friendly content, wonderful content, actually, and just go over there and check out their channels, subscribe to their channels, say hi to them, go over, check out their Discord servers, all that kind of stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, until we come back together for that final harvest here, episode 28, thank you again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.